How's it going, everybody? Thanks for having me here today. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to be here. Thanks to Nebula for having us here. I've done a bunch of events here in the past, and this is a really cool space, and I have a lot of friends who work out of this place too. Before I get going here, I'm supposed to use this mouse, I think. Everybody close your eyes. Especially you. I know you're not doing it. I'm just kidding. And just take a deep breath, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Okay, open your eyes now. I just needed that. I think you all did too. So thanks for being here this early in the morning. I know it's, you probably took extra time to be here and to listen to everybody talk and meet new people. And this is really cool that we're doing this. I think this is a really awesome thing, Creative Mornings. So please make sure to follow them and what they're doing and come to more of these events. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about me for just a couple of slides because I'm not really that important. But when Sam came to me, I think it was 6 months ago, you asked me if I would do this and told me that the topic was Lost, and I was like, I've heard of a TV show called Lost, so that's really all that I want to, that was the first thing that came to my mind. I've actually never seen the show, but I thought about it a lot. I kind of tossed it around in my mind. I didn't know what I was going to say. I never really know what I'm going to say until I say it. So I'll tell you a little bit about me, and then I'm going to talk about Lost. That's me. Who am I? That's me when I was a kid. Can I go back one slide? I grew up on a farm. You can't see, but I'm bottle feeding a little baby calf in this picture. I grew up on a farm about an hour from here in Illinois, a little town called Vandalia. This was pre-internet, pre-smartphone. 1983 was when I was born, so very isolated, I'm kind of a late bloomer because growing up in that way, it was a very cool experience to grow up on a farm, and we had tons of acreage and animals and stuff like that. But as I grew up and got older and my perspective got bigger, I realized like, oh, wow, I'm really kind of separated from, there's a lot of things that I don't know because I've grown up out in this remote area. So I'm a farm boy at heart. She's got me. I'm a farm boy at heart. I learned to work hard by growing up on a farm because if you don't work, the farm doesn't keep going. That's just how it goes. It's a self-sustaining thing. And I'm also a soul searcher. So I'm the type of person, as Sam said, like I'm always looking to help people. I'm always asking myself important questions. I'm always trying to find ways that I can improve, and I'm always learning a little bit more about myself. And I think that's so, so important. There was a long time in my life that I didn't ask myself important questions, that I didn't think about important things, and that I just kind of like turned that part of myself off. And I think, especially now, in this modern world, it's important to ask ourselves, who are we? What do we want to do with our lives? What kind of mark do we want to make while we're here? And being a person who didn't ask myself those questions for a long time, I see now how important those things are. So I would encourage you to do the same. Start journaling, start asking yourself questions, just turn on your voice memos and just talk when you have deep thoughts and open up that part of yourself because it's important. It's really important. I feel like that's a reason why we're here. We're not just here to do jobs, we're here for more than that. So I'm also a lost boy. I just thought it was fun to put that up there. I've always thought it would be cool to live with Peter Pan and Thudbutt and all the Lost Boys and Never Never Land. And now for a monthly price of $6.99, you can watch Peter Pan as much as you want on Disney+. So so I do this thing called Treehouse Network Shop. I help people find jobs. I help companies find people. I do networking events. I do career and life coaching. If you guys want to talk to me about any of that stuff, I would be happy to tell you more. I've been doing it for about 5 years now. It's been one hell of a ride. It's been pretty crazy. I know that there's some people out here in the audience that I've seen today that have worked with me or that I've helped in the past, so thank you guys specifically. It's been really cool. St. Louis has been, STL Made was up here. St. Louis has been a very supportive city to do self-employed things. And I'm very, very thankful for that. So let's talk about lost. What does lost mean? This is just kind of where I wanted to start. I'm like, well, what does it really mean to be lost? So I went to good old Webster Merriam Dictionary, and lost says it's something that has been taken away or can't be recovered. There were 3 definitions. The next one was unable to find one's way or whereabouts, which I think we've all been there before. And then finally, of a contest or a game which a defeat has been sustained. So we lost the game. So I want to expand on each one of these here, each one of these definitions. And I'm a super, super positive person. I always try to look at the positive side instead of the negative side. So then I want to talk about what are the benefits of each one of these things of being lost. So this is my 9-year-old niece, Callie, and that's from a couple months ago. My family took a vacation in Destin, Florida. Anybody ever been to Destin before? It's a very popular destination. I've been there more times than I'd like to admit. Not my favorite place, but it's a cool spot. So she got lost on the beach. She went up to the beach house. She came back down, and when you're a 9-year-old kid, all these beach umbrellas, all these people look the same, and she couldn't find, even though we were literally, if she would have walked straight down the steps, she would have found us. She just got disoriented, and she couldn't find us, and she started just walking one direction down the beach. So she was lost for about an hour and a half, and my family was freaking out. I wasn't there yet. It was the day before I got there. And so they called the cops, and the cops came down, and they're like, oh, well, we lose kids like once a day here. It's not a big deal. We'll find her. That we eventually found her, but it's interesting to me. This story was interesting, as my dad was telling me, because as soon as somebody's gone, as soon as you lose something, you realize how important that thing is to you. And you realize how, oh my God, well, if she's gone forever, if somebody kidnapped her or she got hurt or injured, that's immediately where your mind goes. What will we do? Like, that's like a part of us would be missing. And so, when she got back, it's this flood of emotions. They're kind of angry that she didn't tell us where she was going, but at the same time, they're glad that she's back, and it's don't ever do this again, but I'm so glad I found you kind of type thing. And we were all glad that she made it back to us. She eventually found somebody, and they came and helped her. But I thought that was really interesting. It's kind of like we think negative thoughts about people or things, but when they're gone and when we lose them, we're like, oh my God, I wish I had that thing back. So it kind of gives us a sense of gratitude of, okay, well, I need to appreciate this thing while it's here. So there's another very small but important item that we lose all the time. And something like your car keys or your phone or something like that you use all the time, your laptop, that once you lose it, or God forbid if we lose our internet connection, like how often are we thankful for these things? Every time that we have our keys and that we have these things, we should actually take a minute and be like, okay, I'm thankful that I have my keys. I'm thankful that I have fast internet. Thankful for my phone. And so often we don't take time to actually be thankful for those things. And then losing your way. Losing your way. I know this is kind of a creepy picture, but I thought it was kind of fitting. Whenever you get lost in the woods or something like that. Growing up on the farm, like we lived across from the woods, and we would get lost sometimes. And losing your way. So those are that's two things. Losing something, but then also losing your whereabouts. And this is something that I think is actually kind of cool, because when you lose your way, I actually like to lose my way sometimes. I like to not know where I'm going, because sometimes then you learn how to become self-reliant, and I'm probably getting a little ahead of myself here with the slides and stuff, but this is how it feels whenever you're lost, is like this panic or this anxiety of like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know who I am, I don't know what to do. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So, and losing a game. I grew up in a very small town, and I played basketball and I played baseball, and we lost all the time. All the time. And when losing that much in sports growing up can kind of mess with you a little bit, because then you think, I'm never going to win. Maybe I'm just a loser. But when we would win a game, on the rare occasion when we would win 1 or 2 games a season, it made that victory so much more sweet. So But I think we've all had an experience where we felt like this. I have a little office in Soulard, and this year I've spent a lot of time in that position with tears streaming from my eyes, feeling lost. So how lost can be a good thing, because I'm a positive person. I always like to turn it around. Losing something or someone teaches us to be grateful. I don't like to look at necessarily losing as in a negative way. I kind of thought, well, what would really be the benefits of being lost? And I think, you look back and you think about when someone passes away, or when you lose something that you really wanted. Maybe you lose your job. I've lost a job before. And what that actually did for me was put me on a different path that was much more fruitful and much more prosperous for me. It actually needed to happen. It was something that needed to happen for me in order to get to where I am now. So at the time when I got fired from that job, I thought, oh my gosh, this is horrible. I'm a failure. This is not working out. Like, what's going to happen next? I have no idea. But at the same time, all these possibilities were open to me. And I felt like, well, now I don't have a job, so I can do any job. If there's nothing to do, there's everything to do. I can create my own path. I can forge my own path. It actually helps us find our way. When a couple years ago, I was going to Kansas City quite a bit to visit. I was doing some Treehouse events there. I was doing some networking and had a couple clients there. And I would sometimes just turn off my GPS. I think some of these technological tools that we rely so heavily on sometimes, it's good to just shut them off and say, I'm going to try to find my way to Uptown KC from my Airbnb by myself right now. I'm just going to use my internal GPS, my intuition, and my sense of direction and street signs and good old context clues, and figure out if I can get to this arcade on my own. And when I did that, sometimes I would get lost and be like, okay, I'm really lost now. I need to turn the GPS back on and figure it out. But sometimes you go around a block and you see something that you otherwise wouldn't see, because if you had that GPS on, you'd go straight to the place and you wouldn't see things beyond the beaten path that you were looking for. So you can see really beautiful things when you get lost and you just say, okay, I'm going to just go. I'm just going to trust that I'll find my way. And I think that's really cool. I try to do that when I visit other cities that I'm driving in Dallas, or sometimes I just like to get lost, even in St. Louis. I mean, I know I lived here for most of my life, so I don't really need to turn on GPS when I'm driving around here, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just gonna take a wrong turn and see what happens. And it teaches us to trust ourselves. I think trust is really important. It's so important that I have the word tattooed here on my arm, but it teaches me that even when I get lost, I'll be able to find my own path. I'll be self-reliant. I'll be able to figure this out. And I actually kind of get excited now when I feel a little bit lost, because even though I feel a little bit of that panic still in this pit of my stomach, a little bit of that anxiety, I know that I have the ability to forge my own path, that I've been lost before, that I've found my way. Maybe not even found my way, but I've intentionally decided the direction that I wanted to go. Sometimes you get lost and it forces you to do that. And to become self-reliant, I'm really big on this. I think it's really cool to learn how to provide for yourself. Just trust yourself. Just realize, hey, even if I do get lost, I know I'm going to find my way. And to forge your own path. I know I already said that. I had all these in separate slides and I'm just kind of bouncing around a little bit. But that we all have the ability to forge our own path. That actually, all of us, even though a lot of us have jobs, a lot of us work for ourselves or whatever, control is an illusion. Safety is an illusion. Security is an illusion. We create the illusion of safety and security and stability that at any time, that in all reality, we are all lost. We've just created an illusion to make ourselves feel like we're not lost. And I think that's pretty insane when you think about it. And because at any minute, anything can happen that could take away that security or that stability. And learning how to just kind of ride those waves is really important, and to forge your own path when that happens, because it will happen. I never expected that I would actually getting let go from my job was like my biggest fear ever. And then realizing, okay, well now that forced me to go on this other path and to forge my own way. and helps us see things that we wouldn't otherwise see. If I wouldn't have lost that job, if I wouldn't have, if my niece wouldn't have gotten lost, if I wouldn't lose my car keys, I would never take the time to be grateful for those things. Or if I don't turn my GPS off and get lost on purpose sometimes, I wouldn't see some of the really cool things that are right around me in my backyard. So I thought that was a really cool thing too. These were all these things were kind of flooding to me when I was thinking about this word lost. And it teaches us how to improve. Or it just teaches us the direction that we don't want to go. I didn't even want to work that job that I was working anyways. I didn't realize it, but it was kind of like sometimes the universe says, or things happen, you're not supposed to do this thing, so I'm going to remove you from this situation so that you will find your own path. But then that also taught me that I can do that intentionally too, and I can always change, and I can always forge my own path as well. And it makes victory much more sweet. As I mentioned earlier, as I started thinking about this last night and everything that I was going to say, and I was rehearsing, I started to think about all the times that I've lost or that things haven't went well. And then when something good happens, it's like, oh my God, I have went through some crazy shit. And now I'm here. And I used to be here. I went through times of despair and discouragement, and now I'm going through times of encouragement and happiness and victory, and I'm winning. And if you don't lose, if you just won all the time, the winning wouldn't even matter. It would be like, it would get so boring. Can you imagine? When I was a kid, I used to think, because I played basketball, I used to think, how cool would it be if no matter, my superpower was, no matter where I was on the court, the ball would always go in somehow. And I thought, well, then that would get so boring after a while. Like, I'd just be throwing it from full court and it'd be going in and nobody would be able to stop me. There would be no challenge. And that's what I think lost actually helps us is when you lose, it teaches you how to improve, and it makes that victory so much sweeter because you've been through the valley so you can now experience the peak. I have a little bit of an assignment for you guys. I know that probably all of you have heard this, and not all who wander are lost. I'm a big traveler. I love to travel. I've been to Europe. I've been all over the United States. Had a job that I traveled for. And sometimes I just like to go wherever and not even really have a destination. Sometimes I just like to go to a city and walk around. So I have a little bit of an assignment for you guys. I think it's the next slide here. I know you guys probably thought that you were going to get off easy and not have to do anything and just come and eat cookies and drink coffee. But my assignment for you guys is this weekend, get lost on purpose. Get lost in your mind, get lost in your thoughts, get lost in St. Louis or wherever you're going, and find your way back. See what happens. See what happens in your mind. Be aware of what happens around you. Be aware of what you see when you get lost and what thoughts start to come up. And I think you'll be really glad you did. So thank you guys so much. Hope you have a great weekend.